All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World Building 101. As I mentioned in one of the previous streams, um, we are going to be showcasing every single aspect of this project from the world building to the cultural building to the political building to the race building to character development, showing every step of the way. Typically, this is stuff that I do behind closed doors or in a vacuum, so to speak, if I'm either working by myself or working with a company on a project. But in this case, I wanted to, for this Patreon project, we're doing everything openly and publicly. So I wanted to start off by, doing a world map draft, excuse me. Um, and the important thing about a world map at this stage is it doesn't need to have names for any of it. It doesn't need to have names, doesn't need to have any sort of structure to it above and beyond. We're mapping out land masses and putting in some basic points of interest in terms of geographical points of interest, not necessarily named points of interest. Now, I do have a list of things that I've written. These are some important things that we know we need to have in terms of we need to have waterways because waterways include pirates, islands, and coastal adventures, shipping lanes, merchant ships, so on and so forth. We need mountains because lots of monsters can live in mountains. Dwarves can come from the mountains. We have snowy regions in the mountains. There's valleys, caverns, passes. All are places where adventures can take place. Then we have forest, which is where the elves are from. They're mysterious, they're enchanted. Roads and paths can go through the mountains. Good and evil can come from the mountains. Swamps are places where ruins can be located. They're mysterious, enchanted, boggy. Perhaps some races come from there. Then we have deserts, which are where places of crises normally happen, where resilient races are found. Then we have plains, which are wide open spaces where things can happen, but um, we'll see. Icy barriers and frozen tundra and or wastelands. These are some things that we know, some geographical features that we know the realm needs to have to support the type of fantastical adventure that we're going to be creating. And yeah, Bloody Knuckles, don't forget you can pick up a copy. I'm totally promoting that while I'm drawing this. But let's start with a basic land mass and go from there. Um, so let's start off with here. Let me move this up a little bit. We're going to start off with something that maybe comes up like this. And at this point, we're just somewhat from an imagination. I do have a few other world maps open on my monitor because I wanted to just use as examples when I'm drawing things. We're just basically drawing some ideas here. Probably getting up smudging this a little bit, but I don't mind. one of the things I find is just to try to keep your hand somewhat shaky as you're drawing, and that gives you a good way to draw coasts. Okay, so here we have our basic landmass. Now again, we haven't filled any of this in yet. This is all the sea surrounding, and here we have our basic landmass. Now I'm not an artist, so for me, I'm just literally doing a very rough version of something, and then this may become something that I put a lot of time into. It may be something that someone else comes into and puts some time into. So now that we've got this, so we've got the main landmass. We know we need some islands, so let's go ahead and put some some major islands over here off the western coast, so to speak, because this can give us some additional territories and kingdoms to deal with. Um, let's just do something like this. There's a big island there, smaller island here. Maybe put another island here, something like that. Then we can have another one that comes in here. Something like that, perhaps. And then maybe we put another one there. Something like that, perhaps. That's not bad. Okay, I don't want anything up north. Um, and then we're going to have, say, want this to be a sea. So this is going to be an inland sea here. Matter of fact, let's put like an island in the middle of that. So this is an inland sea, and we've got different outlets here. So think the Mediterranean at this point is all this, and then this comes in the kind of inland area, and then um, these are the straits that come up through here. So we've got shipping routes. Um, this is a bay. This is a bay. This could probably be a bay. Um, it's not really a bay though, but this is a bay. This is a bay, and this I want to be like another sea. So we can put. Let's think about an island here. Maybe another small one here. And then up here, maybe we have something. Something. Almost looks like a horse. And then perhaps a and then one more. Right here. So then we have some islands here. And then we have this sea right here. I kind of feel like I want to put something else like here. Okay, so we're beginning to see kind of the rough landmass here. So we have islands here, islands over here, and this central landmass with a variety of waterways surrounding. So we're beginning to get a better idea of what everything wants. Now, one thing I've already decided now that I've looked at this map, the southern parts I want to be, and I'm not gonna mark this on the map yet because I don't want to um, taint the overall world building process too much. But I definitely know at this point that I want the southern reaches to be inaccessible. Now this is something I don't know that I talked about in the beginning of this video. When you're drawing a world map like this, I'm not drawing 7 continents, right? Or 6 continents or whatever. I'm not doing the whole world. I'm doing the portion of the world where the main story takes place. Now, maybe there is a world map. In this case, there's not. I'm confirming that there's not a map of the entire world. Maybe there is. But when you're first starting to do a map for something like this, there's no reason, at least in my mind, there's no reason to focus on doing a very detailed world map because you don't know if you're going to enjoy working in this world for the next 10 years, 15 years, or whatever. You don't know how successful the project is going to be or anything like that. Um, and while you can create an overall world map to know this is the world at large, I don't necessarily work that way. What I like to do is say, okay, I kind of know that there's other stuff out there, right? And I can maybe allude to that during the process of writing the story and working on things. But what I really want to focus on is the world where the story is taking place in the here and now. Now, if I want to put a boundary in place and say that there are things beyond that we can get to if the story ever goes there, if I continue to enjoy working in this world, and so on and so forth. It's very easy. Here's open sea. There could be something to the north. We don't know. There's open sea to the west. There's open sea to the east. So in all 3 directions, we have places that we could go if the story ever takes us there. Now, we're also dealing with something down here, which in this case is going to be an impassable icy wasteland, right? So this is also another barrier. All of these barriers can be false barriers because there can be things beyond here. Like in George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones is a perfect example of, there was the wall in this, but it was the north. There was the wall. The wildlings lived beyond the wall, but even beyond where the wildlings would go, there was a point where it was just too cold, too frozen. They wouldn't go there because they couldn't live, they couldn't survive, and that's where the whites came from. So in this case, we can say, okay, there's this impassable frozen wasteland. We could even make this a desert down here. It doesn't matter what it is. Matter of fact, I might change it to a desert. I don't know yet. I just know that there's some type of impassable terrain here to the south. I'm not going to use mountains. I prefer to use frozen wastelands or desert wastelands just because um, it's a little more of a um, desolation environment in terms of mountains might seem impassable, but there's always a pass over the mountains generally or a way through the mountains. Whereas with deserts and frozen wastelands, um, there's no way to get past those because you don't have enough supplies and you can't survive the elements, unless of course you have magic and or you find a way through, or there's some sort of cataclysm which changes the climate. There's things to consider when you're doing that. So I'm gonna very lightly notate, because I'm gonna erase this later on, but I'm gonna very lightly notate C. I'm gonna turn this around and say Straits C Bay Bay. Okay, those are some things that I know. And then this is some sort of wasteland. And again, I'm very lightly marking my map so that I can come back and erase those things later on, because at this point what I'm really focused on is just, you know, notating some things here. So now let's say, um, let's make let's make this whole area. Yeah, I'm debating here. Okay, this whole area forest, and then we can make all of this. And again, these are very light notes. Mountains. Okay, mountains here. And I'm not marking rivers or anything like that at this point. We're just doing some very basic. Uh, so forest and mountains. Let's see. Let's make. I'm going to mark some stuff here. This all through here. And then kind of down in here. These are all going to be mountains. This is going to be a mountainous backbone region. Maybe you can even extend it down a little further. Okay, so this is all going to be mountains. Okay. Then we could probably have mountains that come down through here. Okay. Forest. And when we say forest, we mean big forest. I don't know exactly how this would be demarcated yet. Let's have all of this be forest. That might be. Let's cut that off a little bit here. Have that come down like that. And then we're going to have this whole area basically plains. Let's see what else we got going on here. Need some marshlands somewhere. Where to put the marshlands? We could make this entire section marshlands. Marshes. In here. These can be additional. Like, I don't know what could be in here. Plains or rolling hills, we don't know yet. Um, let's make this entire. Let's split this up and say, we have forest around the edges, and then the rest is mountains. Let's make this mountains. Forest, forest. We could make all of this forest as well. I don't know what I want on that island yet. Probably something enchanted or magical. Maybe have mountains that come up through here. Again, these are very, very, very rough maps. Um, and then forest. And probably here we're going to have like northern wastelands up here. I don't want to use the word wastelands. That's too common. Let's say tundra, perhaps. So we can maybe have everything above this line be tundra. So very cold up in this section, probably this section as well. These islands will be cold. We basically make everything, from this line up be considered, basically that line up can be very cold. And from here to here, we have temperate, where people live. And then going beyond this point, we get into either desert or additional frozen wastelands. We're not sure yet. Maybe there are no deserts in this realm. We don't know what this is yet. I just put wasteland. So I think we've got a pretty good start for the world map now. Where are we at? We're 23 minutes in. So we've got a map that took us 20 minutes to create. This is not the final version of the map. This is the very first rough draft version of just saying, here's some land masses. This is kind of what we want to work with. Now we can begin to say, okay, let's kind of put this aside for the moment. We're going to start to work on doing some more of the race building. And once we get some more of the race building done and we know exactly what kind of races we're dealing with, we're going to start to talk about how those races intermingle with each other. And then we're going to start to decide where these races come from. And once we know where these races come from, because we kind of know rough geographic stuff at this point, we know there's a forest here, a forest here, a forest here. So we have three major forests. Probably end up putting another forest, who knows? We could have another, forest over in here. We don't know yet. So let's just maybe even say that this is more forest. So 1, 2, 3, 4 major forests. Several mountain ranges. So we've got options. We have places we can put elves. We have places we can put dwarves. We have places we could put, the brownies slash fairies. We have places we could put humans. Um, we have mountain ranges where other creatures can exist. I'd say we've got a pretty good chunk of, land masses where we can decide where we want people, places, and things to go now. And then from there, we can work on coming up with the races, like I said, and then we'll start to really come in here and flesh this out. Again, I'm not a professional map maker, but I'm going to, draw this in pencil and then either keep it or hand it off to somebody to do more professionally than I can do it. But this is a starting point. Yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed um, going behind the scenes on the world building of this project. And where we're going to be going from here is anybody's guess, but we're going to be including you in every step of the way and showcasing all of the various aspects of world building, character creation, character development, racial development, cultural development, and everything about this project from the ground up so that you can watch it being created and watch it unfold as we work on it over the next basically all throughout 2021. That's the project for 2021, is for us to be working on this project. And we're theoretically going to be releasing 3 different products around this project throughout the year. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Don't forget, subscribe to the Patreon because that's where you're going to get all the juicy updates behind all of these things. Some of these, like this episode, we're sharing for free on YouTube, but a lot of the stuff is for patrons only over on Patreon. So make sure you sign up to Patreon to get all those updates. And of course, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so you get updates when future videos are live or available. And we will see you in the next episode.